Before I ever even found a program, my expectations for studying abroad were set. Between my active imagination, countless travel blogs, and what felt like a dozen pre-departure meetings, I thought I knew what was coming and figured not much could surprise me. I thought I could learn a lot, grow more independent, and maybe pick up an accent and learn a little bit about another culture, all somehow without experiencing culture shock. I'd heard so much about going abroad beforehand. I mean, it's not like I was going to Thailand. How different could London be? A city is a city, right? Looking back on it, I was right about a couple of things, but I had no idea what living outside of the dominant culture would actually teach me. When I got here, everything seemed to be going as I would have expected. It all felt and looked normal as long as I acted like a tourist. I saw the sights I was supposed to see, went on the orientation tours, checked tourist boxes, and started doing and eating things that I thought only English people did. Sure, they drove on the other side of the road, but the people looked like me, and we spoke the same language. But then some simple things started to change that I didn't expect, and all of a sudden I become hyper aware of anything I did that I didn't see anyone else doing around me. I started to worry about how much I should tip, if I'd really done something well when I was complimented, if people were being serious or sarcastic, what would actually happen if I smiled at somebody walking down the street. I even started to question whether or not I should eat while I was walking around in public, because I rarely saw anybody else do it. Now, obviously, most of those concerns turned out to be okay, and I was just overthinking them. But I came to realize that this was part of the culture shock, as hard as I'd tried to avoid it. I had no idea that it would feel like that, and I also had no idea that this is when I would really start learning. Not just about English culture, but about my own culture as well. For the first couple weeks, I lived like a tourist, and I thought like one. I believed I could learn by taking it all in, when in reality I had to suspend my judgment, step outside myself, and into someone else's shoes to really understand the people I had come to learn about and from, and look beyond my preconceived ideas about living abroad. But as I did that and started to get more comfortable in another country, I started to see what my culture looked like through the culture shock, through the loss of the little things I had taken for granted at home. Not things like Chick-fil-A or other American products, but habits, social do's and don'ts, mannerisms, and even email etiquette. Being in a slightly higher context culture showed me some of the values that make up American culture. Like, for example, our emphasis on efficiency and getting straight to the point versus exchanging pleasantries quickly before you get down to business. For the first time, I was not part of the dominant culture, and for the first time, I started to see that I actually have a culture after all. Before I left, I expected studying abroad would be like a glorified and more intense tourist visit. I wanted to learn about other cultures, but I didn't know how. Some of my expectations have been met, but most of them have turned out to be wrong or naive. I have indeed learned how to be more independent and expanded my view of the world, but I'm just starting to scratch the surface of understanding and engaging English culture, and also my American culture. Now, I haven't found myself in London, and I don't feel more English than before, but I think I'm finally starting to understand where I am and where I come from just a little bit better now.